But behind the scenes of the hit NBC sitcom, not everyone was clinking glasses in harmony. While the show's stars like Ted Danson, Rhea Perlman, and George Wendt formed a tight-knit family, one cast member's perfectionism and intensity stirred up tension that eventually became legendary in television lore. Shelley Long, who played the intelligent yet high-strung Diane Chambers, helped make Cheers a success with her fiery chemistry opposite Danson's Sam Malone.
No, she knows you're here. I told her you're here.
Well...
Now, look. I'm sorry, I was wrong. He had to step out. Where? Well, I think what happened is he had to go to mime class.
When Shelley Long first joined Cheers in 1982, she was hailed as a revelation. Her portrayal of Diane Chambers, a snobbish, intellectual waitress whose unlikely romance with ex-baseball player Sam Malone anchored the show, earned her instant critical acclaim. The chemistry between Long and Ted Danson was undeniable, and the will-they-won't-they dynamic between their characters quickly became the heart of the series. Yet even during the show's early success, small signs of strain began to emerge behind the scenes. Rhea Perlman, who played the wisecracking Carla Tortelli, would later admit that while the cast shared mutual respect, the atmosphere wasn't always smooth. In a 2019 appearance on Watch What Happens Live, Perlman confirmed long-standing rumors of tension. When asked about friction between Long and her co-stars, Perlman hesitated but admitted, quote, there was a little. She quickly added that after Long's departure, quote, we had Kirstie and life moved on. It was a tactful response that hinted at the deeper reality. While Shelley Long's performance made Cheers iconic, her perfectionist nature made the set an exhausting place for her co-stars. Once Kirstie Alley arrived in Season 6 as Rebecca Howe, the mood reportedly lightened significantly, marking a turning point for the cast dynamic. Ted Danson also acknowledged the highs and lows of working closely with Long. In a 1987 People magazine interview, he likened their professional relationship to a marriage, saying, quote, my wife and I have terrible arguments sometimes, and they're kind of our business. Our relationship, Shelley's and mine, has included not being happy with each other and being happy with each other. His words reflected the complex duality that defined their working relationship: on-screen magic, off-screen friction. Long, for her part, never denied the challenges, but attributed them to her passionate investment in the work. She told the same publication that their teasing and banter sometimes extended beyond the set, but insisted that, quote, our energy went into our work and it paid off. It did indeed. Cheers won multiple Emmys and cemented its toll. The method behind the madness.
Diane is my salvation. It's my patients that have caused this distress. Well, think of it. Day after day, miserable people coming into your office and pouring out their litany of depression and anxiety. The only way my situation could be any worse is if I actually listened to them.
In 2012, GQ published a detailed oral history of Cheers that peeled back the curtain on what really caused the behind-the-scenes tension. According to assistant director Thomas Lofaro, Shelley Long's deep commitment to her character went beyond what most sitcom actors were used to. Quote, Shelley believed that she was the new Lucille Ball, he said. She would spend hours after the run-through talking with the writers about her character and the story, just talking it to death. While her dedication came from a place of professionalism, the endless discussions became a source of frustration for the rest of the team. Glenn Charles, one of the show's creators, clarified that Long's actions weren't rooted in ego or hostility, but in her artistic process. Quote, it was never a tantrum, he said, but it did take a lot of talking, and I think the biggest problem was with the rest of the cast, because we'd have a reading at the table, and immediately she'd want to talk about it. The producers indulged her at first, but over time, this accommodation created what Charles called a schism between Shelley and the rest of the cast. Ted Danson echoed this sentiment in his own comments for the oral history. He explained that while Shelley's perfectionism could be trying, it came from a genuine place of purpose. Shelley's process would have infuriated you if it had been mean or if it hadn't been purposeful, he said, but it was purposeful. It was her way of being Diane, and there's not a mean bone in Shelley's body. Danson even confessed that while he struggled to spend time with her off camera, quote, once we stood on stage together, I was in heaven. For Rhea Perlman, discussing Shelley's work style decades later was still a touchy subject. In the same GQ interview, she declined to elaborate, saying, quote, it's not really something I can talk about, to tell you the truth. I can't go there. I don't think it's worth it at this point in life. Co-star conflict. The most dramatic accounts of conflict on the Cheers set came from Kelsey Grammer, who joined the show in season 3 as psychiatrist Dr. Fraser Crane. In his 1995 memoir, So Far, Grammer claimed that Shelley Long actively tried to have him fired. Quote, Shelley's efforts to get me off the show were relentless, he wrote. I learned after read-throughs she would insist the writers took out every laugh I had. According to Grammer, he felt targeted and undermined by Long's supposed interference with his material. Long, however, rejected Grammer's version of events, calling it so wrong. She explained that there had only been one incident that might have led to the misunderstanding. Quote, I have no idea how he got that idea other than me speaking up one time and saying, no, I don't really think that should be Fraser's baby. She was referring to a storyline discussion that occurred while she herself was pregnant. Long felt her creative input was misinterpreted as sabotage. Quote, it's just a crime that people don't take the time and make the effort to have a conversation if it's bothering them that much, she said. I wish he had said something, but he never did. What Grammer perceived as professional hostility, Long viewed as artistic passion, a mismatch of intentions that only fueled the larger narrative of her being difficult. 24th episode of the podcast Where Everybody Knows Your Name, Danson revealed that he and Grammer hadn't spoken for 30 years following a brief but impactful disagreement. Danson recalled that during the Cheers years, he had confronted Grammer about not being fully prepared for scenes, telling him, quote, you know, I'm kind of mad at you that sometimes you don't show up ready to go. To Danson, it was a minor note of frustration. To Grammer, it marked the start of a silent divide that lasted decades. When the two finally reconciled in 2024, Danson apologized, admitting, quote, I feel like it's my bad, my doing, and I really do apologize. Grammer accepted, saying, quote, thank you, I wish we'd spent some more time together. The decision to walk away.
So no more of this have a good life stuff.
You never know. You could die, I could die. The world could end. One of us could bump our heads and wander the streets for the rest of our life with amnesia. Or maybe one of us will decide they want something else.
In 1987, after 5 seasons and an Emmy win, Shelley Long decided to leave Cheers. Her departure shocked audiences and even some of her co-stars who had assumed she'd stay for the long haul. Many speculated her exit was due to ongoing tensions or an inflated ego, but Long later offered a different explanation. She told interviewers the decision stemmed from creative frustration and personal priorities. Quote, the Cheers writers were the finest in television, she said, but I felt like I was repeating myself. It bothered me a little bit. Long explained that she felt her character's arc had become stagnant and she was eager to pursue other projects, including film roles being offered to her at the time. Quote, and I was getting movie offers which made people think, oh, she's so snooty. She thinks she's going to do movies. But according to Long, her main reason for leaving was family. I had a 2-year-old baby and I wanted to spend more time with my family. Her exit left a massive void in the series. Diane Chambers had been a cornerstone of Cheers, and many critics predicted the show would never recover. Yet the arrival of Kirstie Alley as Rebecca Howe in season 6 revitalized the series, giving it a fresh dynamic that helped sustain its popularity for another 7 years. Even Rhea Perlman remarked that Kirstie's addition brought a renewed sense of fun and camaraderie to the set, comparing her arrival to Woody Harrelson's seamless transition after the death of actor Nick Colasanto, who played Coach. Still, Shelley Long's legacy remains complicated. She had been instrumental in establishing the show's tone and heart, but her departure became a cautionary tale in Hollywood about the fine line between creative dedication and professional friction.